Rocker Pat here. Alright guys. Alright man, I just wanted to show y'all this script that I put on this valve cover. Give y'all a close-up of it and everything about how well it came out. I think it came out great. The key that I found on this was, man, a hell of a lot of patience and a lot of eyeballing. And what I mean by eyeballing, it was glasses and then some of these, looking down through there and getting in there and making it where it gets all, you know, as big as you could get it. And then what I used was for paint, I used a bottle of this at your model store, Guards Red Model Masters. And that way you don't have to buy a big bottle of or a can of paint or whatever, but this is just enamel paint. And man, they have tons of colors, so you know, you need to detail something. You don't might not want to spend $20 on paint. I mean, that is $3.99, but I didn't pay for it, my customer did, so yay, I got extra paint. Now, what you don't want to do is buy that for paintbrushes. That's what was brought to me to paint this. What you need are real good paintbrushes from the art store. And I don't remember which one I used. I think I used this one. If I had to, I think that's the one I used, or was it that one? May have been that one. Hell, I don't remember. It was one of these. It probably was that one right there. But it was just, you know, super, once you get the paint on it, it was just super duper. Paint that edge. Try to paint that edge. And then paint the other edge and then fill in between. But if you go real slow, you can get that done. Came out really nice. Really happy with that. I'm glad I did that. That's the first time I've done it. Really glad I did that. But anyway, let's go check out what everything else is going on with our 1947 Chevrolet pick-em-up truck over here. All right, let's see what I got done. Last time we stopped, we had just pulled the engine out of this thing, because we had an issue with our distributor. Well, I got that in there. We got it all back together, and as you can see, it moves the way it's supposed to. What's odd about this distributor is instead of the vacuum advance moving the points inside the housing, it actually twists the distributor, and there's no seal in there, and I'm not 100% sure what's going to go on with that, whether or not that's going to leak on me. But I didn't see any seal, and if I tried to put an O-ring in there, then when it squished everything down, it compressed around the side of the distributor and didn't allow it to twist the way it's supposed to. So it must go sealless. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. So I got that. You seen old Leaky here. Leaky's up there because I'm just trying to mock up everything and make sure everything is gonna, you know, pass mustard and everything. And that, you know the old saying, mock up or fuck up, one of the two. You know, you're gonna do one or the other. And I've done more of the fuck up without mocking up, so I'm gonna mock up everything 2 or 3 times until I get it right. So on my core support here, it was bent in right there, and one of the bolts was screwed up there. I ended up having to take the cage bolt out all the way, and I'm just gonna have to run a nut on the back side of it. And it's a little bent up in this area. It had a V groove in it right there, and yesterday I was able to get this on my bench, and I kind of used my drill press table right there to lay that across there and clamped it all on there and everything, so that I could lay it right there on the edge of that bench and do some hammering and dolly, and use the dolly, the bench as the dolly on this thing, so I could get this crease out of there, because it was folded over, and this is pretty thick steel. It's not exactly lightweight crap, you know. It took some hammering and dollying, but unfortunately that's part right of the truck. When the hood's open, you're going to be able to see it. There's a panel that goes on this side that covers the latch and all this, but right here it's visible, and this is where it all bolts onto the side of the fender. So man, it's bent over like a tree or something fell on it. I don't know what the hell, man. How does some of this shit get fucked up? I don't know, man. I just don't know. It had a bolt in that hole right there, and it was cocked to the side. Like, how did you bend that? I don't know, man, but somehow it was bent, and I had to get it out of there. So what I want to do is, when I'm getting ready to start this thing, I want to have the radiator completely in it, because I want to do this one time. I don't want to do it multiple times. So I made some brackets so that I could bolt the core support in place, and I'll finish this core support first. I'll make sure it's painted and ready to go before I bolt it on here, and then I'll make sure there's some rubber pads in between or something so I don't scratch it. But you're really not going to see it right there anyway. If I did scratch it, you know, what's the loss, really, right? So anyway, I'm going to put the this on the truck, so when I start it, I can run this thing and break in the new camshaft that's in it and all. So that's one of the considerations that I did this week. Another thing I did was my alternator bracket. Down there, you kind of see it's a little shiny right now. It's not going to be. It needs to come back off and get painted one more time. I say painted one more time, painted again this time. And I'm going to paint it gray because it's not exactly 100%. I don't like that slot right there, but there's not a lot I could do about that versus other than just weld it up and try to find that hole again. And man, I have a hard time trying to find holes when they're hidden behind steel. And then I could weld that one up and grind it down flush, but I'm gonna paint it gray and just make it kind of disappear in there. I had to already, for that hole, that bolt right there, I had to weld it up and then try to measure it and get it all right so that this thing would ride right. The bracket before it was kind of kicked a little bit, and if you look down the belt, it had a little, and that, man, no, we ain't taking this apart. I want it done one time, and then we'll go have some fun. You know, so I got that done, and I ran into I was gonna try to get this thing running. Oh well, last week I ran into the hiccup of it took 3 days to get an oil pan gasket for it, so it sat in the way, turned upside down. I finally got that back in there, I think Tuesday evening, and then I ran into the next hiccup. I went and I got some new feeler gauges because my gauges are old and wore out, and I can't see the deal anymore because I'd never used feeler gauges on any of my jobs. I mean, none. So feeler gauges kind of get rusted up around here. So I went and got a new set, and I started to do my valves, and I started noticing a problem. Uh-oh. What the fuck is going on here, man? So, not only that, the tips are all worn sideways. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because of the light behind you. You see how the tip's kind of worn a little sideways on that? Well, there we go. Yeah, it's kind of worn out there. And then if we, like I said, if we rock this back and forth, it's not only doing that, it's moving sideways. So, new problem. So I went over, and this is the set of rocker arms that was supplied to me with the engine that I bought from a buddy of mine. And because the 216 was screwed up, well, this is the set of rocker arms which matches that one over there. And if we look real closely, you can see, I mean, we got a Grand Canyon of wear going on in here. And then on the inside, there's you see that? You see that tit in there? Man, that's like protruding. If I put that on this, it's just gonna wear into this. So they're all screwed. Well, the problem, this one is fine. All these are nice and tight, but the problem is they're missing 2 of them. And the 2 that are missing are like this, and they're the rarest ones of them. And I can't, well, I called up my buddy, he ain't got none. So then it was the internet search, and $141 later, coming out of Chicago, probably be here tomorrow on the UPS truck. And maybe I'll have a good set of rocker arms for this truck, and then I can get this damn thing running, because that's what I really want to do, is I want to get this thing running so I can get that cab in here and set it on there. It's just outside getting dirty, and I'd like it to get inside where it's not getting quite as dirty, and I can, you know, keep it cleaner. But anyway, that's what's going on with the 1947 Chevrolet pick-em-up truck. we're just trying to work through all the little hiccups and problems I got. I'm really hoping that the last hiccup I got to make this thing run is going to be that rocker arm assembly and everything. The customer's getting a new radiator coming, so I got a little bit of wait time on that. I don't know when that's actually going to get here. You know how that stuff goes. That's the game that we play. Oh, another thing I got done was I finally got my fuel line completely run up here. It's not exactly factory, but they had a hard line going, and I'm not running a hard line, and I want some sort of filter. Even though I got a brand new gas tank back there and brand new lines all the way up the truck, which is definitely the way to go, I've learned, is just go ahead and put a new tank and lines and everything on anything old like this. Don't trust the tank. So that, you know, I still wanted that filter, and it is what it is. I'll take a few judgment points if I have to. I got that fuel line and vacuum line all done, and you look at it, it looks like it's the color of the engine. But I'm telling you what happened there was, it was just way too humid to paint, and that is supposed to be that color black, literally. That color black that's right there on that alternator pulleys is what the same can that pipe was painted in, and it turned out grayer and gray. This turned out the color of that Ford gray I got over here on the Chevrolet engine. So anyway, watch out for that humidity when you're painting with them rattle cans, because sometimes it's gonna change colors on you. Because that happens to me all the time, man. It is humid as shit down here. All right, so this week what I'm gonna try to get done is I'm gonna finish putting the distributor together. And I probably said this once before, I'm gonna get that carburetor tore apart, but I keep needing to use it to do things, and besides that, I'm not ready to have that all tore apart and strewed all over the place while I soak the parts and everything. So anyway, oh yeah, one more thing I did this week is I started to build a heat shield for my master cylinder here and a brake booster. The original, when I bought this chassis from a guy in Louisiana, he already had this booster and everything on it. So I don't know where it came from, but if I had to guess, it's CPP. So the exhaust pipe he had running underneath it run real close to this booster, and he had some of that, I don't know, man, it looks like insulation, thick insulation, you know, that fiber kind of stuff, fire retardant crap or whatever the hell piped onto the exhaust pipe. Well, I don't want that, so I'm gonna put a heat shield going down here made out of aluminum or steel or something, just to get the, you know, keep this from being screwed up with too much heat, which I don't think it's gonna get too much damn heat down up underneath this thing. A lot of air is gonna move up underneath here, and I don't expect it to be idling a whole lot, and I don't expect that engine to be putting off too damn much heat, but I'm sure it'll still fry that thing if I don't put a heat shield up underneath it. And oh, to answer your question, Scott at Stovebolt 50, hey man, you cannot access this master cylinder from under the truck. You cannot access this because of the booster. The master cylinder would have been sitting right here. You've moved it back, and you can't even cut a hole in it to the floor to access it due to the fact that the seat frame, the piece that your actual seat frame bolts to, that round, you know, whatever, that step up, the riser, is right here. So you can't cut your seat riser out to put a hole in the floor to get to it. You know, it's going to be one of those situations where you just got to climb up underneath there, pop the tops off of it, pull it off to the side, and put an inspection mirror up there. But, you know, I got it full, I got it clean, it's all fresh fluid in this thing, everything's brand new. I'm gonna hope that for the next 10 years I don't have to fuck with it, because I don't think the truck's gonna get a whole lot of mileage put on her. So I just hope that I got everything adjusted right when I get vacuum going to it and my pedal's still good. If not, I'm gonna have to work on the rear brakes and maybe tighten them up, see what the hell's going on back there. I haven't really done anything like that. I know they ain't leaking right now, and even if they start leaking, I'll be able to fix it before I have everything all fucked up. All right, guys. Well, it's another day over here at the garage. It's a long video. I'm getting long-winded and everything. We ain't getting nothing accomplished. All right, I just wanted to show y'all a little bit of what's going on this week, and we'll talk at you next week, and y'all keep rocking and rocking and a rolling and a rolling and a rocking.